I bought the 3 most popular capos on Amazon for around $20 and I'm putting them head to head. If you haven't joined before, welcome. My name's Luke and this is my channel Midlife Guitar. It's all about my journey as a beginner in adult life, and I document all the ups and downs on YouTube. So if you'd like to be part of it, hit the subscribe button and notification bell and you'll get updates every week. So today you're going to be looking at the 3 most popular capos on Amazon for around $20. I'll be giving 2 of these away and I'll give further details about that later in the video. So let's get into it. So these are the 3 we're going to be looking at today. The first one is the SHUBB Deluxe S1. This is the stainless steel version. The second one is the KYSER Quick Change Capo for 6-string guitars in bright yellow. Yum. And the final one is the Nordic Essentials Deluxe Capo in sleek metallic black. They're all around $20 on Amazon. I bought them about 8 weeks ago when I started this journey because I didn't know which one to choose. And we're going to look at them, compare them, what they offer, and are they as good as some people say they are, and how they tune the guitar. Because sometimes people tell me they detune the guitar. So I'm going to test all 3 out today and give us an overall result. So the 5 criteria we're looking at are the look, the functionality, the ergonomics, the durability, and any warranty that you get on the products themselves. First up is the KYSER Quick Change Capo for the 6-string acoustic guitar. Kind of cool looking, kind of unique. It's obviously it depends on what your tastes are, but there's nothing too wrong with it. And it's the colour's obviously pretty bright, but that's the one I chose. There's lots of different colours you can get. Okay, what about the functionality of it? Does it do what it's supposed to do? Well, it's easy to use in some respects in that it's got a long arm, so you can get a bit of purchase on it with your palm and placing it. What I would say is it's quick to move around up and down the fretboard, but it is quite stiff. It is quite stiff to use. So if you have a kind of weaker hand, I think you might struggle with this to put it on and off the guitar. So if you've got like an arthritic hand, or just for whatever reason you haven't got a lot of strength there, I think you might struggle. But obviously one of the important things with functionality is, does it detune the guitar? Well, let's try it out now. So I've got the guitar in standard tuning. I've got the capo on the 3rd fret, so this should be a G. So let's test it out now. I'm using the chromatic tuner. Bit flat. Next one should be a C. A bit flat again. That's quite a bit flat on the F there. On the B flat, it's pretty bang on. And D sharp or E flat, probably slightly flat on that too. And the G's bang ons. So pretty good across the board. Obviously there could be some issues with the intonation of the guitar, but if I'm doing it consistently across all 3 capos, we'll see where we end up. Pretty good overall. Next up is the ergonomics of it. Due to its unique look and shape, it can be a little bit awkward on the hand. So you get finger placement bits here, like there's one there and there's one there. What I find with this curly bit is actually your finger gets caught a bit in it. So that's not particularly ergonomic, I'd say. You can obviously use it with your other hand. I actually find that more awkward. You can see I caught the string there than when I use it this way around with my strumming hand. I find that a lot easier to use. Like I said, you need quite a bit of strength to use these type of capos, and I found this one harder to use in terms of opening it up than the Nordic Deluxe, which we'll talk about in a minute. What about the durability? Well, it feels solid. Where there's moving parts, there's no wobble to it. It's made from aluminium or aluminum, dependent on where you're from. It is obviously a spring-loaded. This obviously might fail over time, and these pads might fail as well, but I understand you can get replacement parts from the KYSER website, so that's good. And the only bit I would say is that there's a part here that sits on the top of your guitar, which is here, and that's quite thin, cheaply made kind of plastic, like a tape or something. But some people have said that you could try replacing that with a thicker electrical tape if you're worried about it damaging the top of your guitar. I don't think it will really, but it's just one thing to point out on an overall very solid looking and feeling capo. So next up's warranty. KYSER have been going since the 80s. They've got a great name, and for good reason too. It's a solid feeling capo. What they do offer is a lifetime warranty on the materials and workmanship. So should you ever have an issue, you can obviously send it through to them and get something fixed for it. I do wonder how many people actually do that, given they're about 20 bucks, and some people don't think that's a lot of money and they might just buy a new one. I don't know, but they feel solid, and overall it's a good quality and very good for the price. Next up is the Nordic Essentials Deluxe Capo. Comes in this little carry bag here. I found that quite useful actually. You can put your picks and stuff in it, so that's kind of cool. Overall, the look to it, I think it looks a lot more luxurious than the KYSER. It's got a nice cut. This is the metallic black one, I think it is. It looks kind of cool, to be quite honest with you. It's kind of got clean lines, minimal, and yeah, it's kind of, as the capos goes, it's pretty attractive. So its functionality, is it easy to use? Yep, I find it easy to use. It's I find that action, obviously the action's at the rear of the capo rather than with the KYSER it's the front. I actually find it easier to use than the KYSER one, and probably feels like slightly less tension's required and grip strength required in order to open it. It's quick to move around the fretboard, no issue there. I don't find myself catching any strings like I did with the KYSER, and overall it's pretty good in that respect. So let's test out whether or not it detunes the guitar. Okay, so we've got the capo on the 3rd fret. Let's try it out. Slightly flat there. C. C's good. F's pretty good. I'd say pretty close to on the F. A sharp, B flat is spot on. Probably slightly flat on the D sharp. And good on the G. Obviously I'm just doing it from a chromatic tuner here, but otherwise it sounds pretty good. Okay, what about the ergonomics of it? Well, it's comfortable in the hand, to be honest. You can get, I mean, I've got maybe slightly larger hands, and you can get kind of 3 fingers at the bottom there, and it's easy to get purchase on it to open it up. Like I said, it's a bit easier to use than the KYSER 6-string capo, in my opinion. It's the way it's kind of shaped, it encourages you to use your palm as well, and you can get more leverage from there, and so that's probably why it makes it easier to open it. So overall, pretty good on the ergonomics. Next up is durability. It feels pretty solid, doesn't move, there's no movement in it when you try and put it into areas where it shouldn't go. That sounds a bit strange. And the springs, obviously a part that could fail, and these silicone pads could obviously fail at some point down the line. Nordic aren't exactly a well-known brand and have built a big reputation like perhaps KYSER and SHUBB have, so I don't know quite how well you'd get on with replacing the parts. I did try actually going to their website, and it kind of redirected me to an Amazon page, so a bit of a red flag there in terms of future maintenance with this. But in terms of how solid it feels, it does feel solid. It weighs a bit more than the KYSER, so in that respect it kind of gives you the impression that it's a solid, well-made capo. So what about warranty? Well, it does say on the packet premium quality lifetime warranty, but like I said, when you go to their website it redirects to a Amazon page, so that's kind of odd. They do have a support email address. Maybe I've got the website details wrong, or they might have changed or something since I've got this. I don't know, but obviously I'd be a little bit concerned if you ever wanted to replace a part on it, but you might go ahead and buy a new capo anyway. So next up is the SHUBB S1 Deluxe stainless steel. Now when I bought this and the other two, which is the beginning of my guitar journey, I knew nothing about these capos, and everything I've read about it just to date recently is that these are very good capos. That people have a lot less issues with these in terms of detuning. They are solid, well made. Obviously it's adjustable, so a lot of people saying these are very good to use. So let's get into it and test it out. First up, look, well, It's not exactly a great looker, is it? But if you appreciate the simple engineering, then perhaps it is, because it's a very practical looking capo, and to be quite honest, that's all you need when you've got a capo. One that works, less detuning issues, the better. So what about functionality? Well, first off, it's the only capo they've got that's actually got an adjustable tension on it. So this screw can go in and out, and it pushes up against the guitar, and so you can change it. So if your guitar was going out of tune, you could probably fiddle around with it and change it to a point that every time you put it on, you knew it wasn't going to detune the guitar. The only downside would be is if you've got obviously more than one guitar that you're using on it, and then you might have some issues and you have to tweak it each time. But generally, that adjustability makes it very good in terms of functionality. You can't move it around quickly as you can with the other capos. Obviously, when you're putting it on, well, I'm new to using it, so you have to kind of use two hands, but I think let's try using one hand. Yeah, I guess with practice you'll be able to do that easily with one hand. I have seen some complaints that I've read about that it's not big enough for a 1.75 inch nut. Well, this Seagull S6 is a 1.8 and it seems to cover all the strings to me. So I wouldn't worry about that if that's a potential issue that you're looking at. One thing I would say that this might trip you up is if you were playing on stage or in low light, or just anywhere in low light in general, then you have to be a bit more intentional with it. Particularly if you've got a wider nut like I have on this one, you'd want to make sure the placement is just right, and it'd probably be a lot more fiddly, particularly if you're in between songs, and the last thing you want to be worrying about is your capo. But that might just be an experience thing. You get used to using it and it's quicker to get it on and off. So let's just test out the tuning on it. Obviously, like I've mentioned, it is adjustable, but let's give it a go anyway and see how we get on. Okay, so the capo's on, let's try it out. So first up we have got a G, see that's a bit high, but let me just try fiddling around with the screw. That's pretty good. Okay, so that's the beauty of this. You can just fiddle around with it until you get the tuning. So let's just see if that's consistent now across the other strings. So this should be a C. Yeah, bang on. F. Maybe, oh no, just a tad flat perhaps. What about A sharp B, B flat? Bang on. Bang on. G sharp A. Slightly flat maybe. Given like the whole intonation of the guitar thing, that is the best so far by far. Yes, and the fact that you can play around with the screw at the back, that is definitely a plus for me. Okay, what about the ergonomics of it? Well, like we've talked about before, you're probably going to need to use two hands to it until you get the technique down. It's not too bad to use one hand, but it's a little bit awkward. There are things about it that perhaps I didn't mention before, like you can't really clip it to your headstock like you can with the other ones with the trigger. No, see, you just can't do that. So it's not going to work in that respect. You're going to have to put it down, then pick it up. So if you're on stage or something, that'd probably be quite awkward. And you don't want to be worried about losing it or something, or maybe you can put it in your pocket. But it's just a little bit awkward in that respect. The way it's kind of built, it doesn't really matter in terms of any kind of grip strength. It's very easy to use. So I think if you've got the weaker hand, then this is kind of perfect ergonomically. So yes, this is certainly the choice for that one. What about durability? Well, it feels super solid. It's stainless steel. It does have a bit of wobble to it when you move it around, but obviously that really goes out the window when you put the clamp on. It's solid as, and it feels very good to use. All the parts, from what I understand, can be replaced, and they will do that. And if there's any defects, again, probably the similar respects to the other two, they will replace them. They don't openly state that, but once you go to their website, they talk about how they're an old-fashioned business and they honour a product and they believe in it, and I respect that. And these are the sorts of companies that I always think are the best to work with in any way. So it's a solid capo with a strong backing to it, with good history in terms of the company. So overall, what my opinion is if you just want one capo and you're playing at home, then it's definitely the SHUBB S1. I think that is the capo to have for around $20. You can't go wrong with it. Clearly, it's the best in terms of tuning. It might be slightly fiddly to use, but I think you'll get better with that with experience. It's well built, solid parts, and maybe it's not the best looking, but it's extremely functional, and doesn't take long to put on a capo anyway. If you were going to buy 2 capos around this kind of $20 mark, then controversially, I'd probably go for this Nordic one. I found it easier to put on than the KYSER, so if you've got a weaker hand, definitely go for that one. And I'll put the descriptions in the show notes below for all 3 of them if you're interested in it. And it'd be interesting to see what you thought in terms of the sound of those. It was clear on the chromatic tuner that the SHUBB was better, but let me know what you thought. So on to the giveaway. My plan is that once I get 100 subscribers, I'm going to give away these 2 capos. Surprisingly not the SHUBB S1, which is obviously the one I'm going to keep, but they're both still very good capos, and I would recommend either of them, to be quite honest with you. So obviously hit the like button, put a comment in the comment section below, and if you're interested in the content overall, please hit the subscribe button too, and I'll be releasing the winners by random in a future video. Hopefully that was some value to you. I like to try and test these things out, because often what I find on the internet is that you get a lot of review sites and they're not often that genuine, so you just get a kind of mixed information. So I wanted to try them out for myself. You've got the actual results there, and hopefully you can make a decision on that. I've left links to the capos in the show notes below, so if you're interested, you can check what the current price is on any of those. Okay guys, until the next one, cheers.